Hello, Facebook family. Happy Friday to everyone. This is, I'm losing count, I think our fifth or sixth member benefit spotlight here on Facebook. Today, I have the honor of talking to an RV legend, RV industry legend, and our point of contact with VAS, who is our benefit partner for our roadside rescue policy. Ed Thor, thanks for joining us, Ed. I know you're a busy guy. Like I said, you're a legend in the industry, so I'm glad you could carve out a little time to come and talk to us. So kind of want to start off maybe, Ed, by introducing yourself a little further and kind of who VAS is.
Sure. Thanks, Chris. I'm really honored to be here. It's a privilege to work with FMCA and meet all the members across this great country of ours and the members up in Canada and all. And, the program's available throughout North America. It's a program that we've had for many years with you guys. In fact, as you know, my wife was one of the founders of CoachNet, which was the original supplier to the program through FMCA. Then after we sold that company, we kind of transitioned and you guys followed us, which we're appreciative of. So we've got a pretty good program going right now. We do about 13 million tows and incidents throughout the nation, throughout North America, actually annually with all of our clients, which include the majority of the highline manufacturers. It includes towable companies like Grand Design. It includes like FMCA, the Ford Motor Company, everything medium and heavy duty, everything that Rev produces, everything that Tiffin produces, leisure travel vans, most insurance companies and service contract providers. When I say we're a true business-to-business provider, we listen to what the customer wants. So FMCA comes to us and they say, this is the type of program we need. This is who we want it to cover. What can you guys do with all these parameters? And that's how we come back and put it out there for members of your group and all the other groups that we do. And then we try to stay on top of it to the best of our ability through our 5 U.S. North America-based call centers. Actually, North America is the proper way to say that. We've got 5 of them in the U.S. and we've got 1 in Canada now. So it's pretty busy right now. We're fighting the problems that we see all the time. And I know, Chris, you follow the financial markets, and I know a lot of our listeners do. And I'm constantly amazed at everything on the RV blogs and the newspaper lately and how we are now experiencing the lowest unemployment we've had in over 50 years. That's a great milestone. I still can't understand how that coincides with every single city I go to. Everybody's got a sign in the window that says help wanted. So I'm not smart enough to figure out how that works, but I guess that's why I'm in roadside. So,
well, thanks for that. Thanks for kind of that intro there. You kind of answered my first question, so I'll skip down to my second question. For the members watching, can you kind of explain the pricing per year? We kind of have some tiered pricing. Maybe explain what those prices are, and also to go along with that to help people understand kind of maybe some top line factors that kind of go into how these rates are determined,
Sure.
for the FMCA members. Yeah.
Sure. There's pricing. Our pricing with FMCA is 2-tiered. You've got the $129 for motorized, and we've got a lower price for towables. Those programs cover your recreational vehicle, one recreational vehicle, and every other vehicle you ever own, rent, or borrow. So that means if you're using somebody else's vehicle, if you're in a rental car, whatever, you have you have that coverage on it. That covers yourself, your spouse, spousal equivalent, significant other, life partner. If you happen to have children under the age of 25 living at home or away at school, it covers them. And it covers that nucleus of individuals, that entire nucleus, on every vehicle they ever own, rent, or borrow. We will never leave you stranded on the road, ever. If you have the policy on a towable vehicle, what the towable policy dictates is that if your towing vehicle breaks down, let's say you've got an older pickup truck and it breaks down, we're not going to leave your RV, your towable or your fifth wheel sitting on the side of the road. We're actually going to dispatch, if we have to, 2 vehicles and tow you to a safe location, even if we can't get you into service in the evening. I joke a lot when I give the seminars about at all the FMCA events that in a perfect world, well, we're RVers, so we know a perfect world doesn't exist anywhere. Nobody ever gets a blowout in front of a Michelin tire store. It's just never going to happen. And you never need service when everybody's open. That usually doesn't happen either. So we have to bear all that in mind. We're having, as I alluded to previously, we're having some of the challenges with employees like every other industry is right now. I've got one major provider in the Southeast. He's calling me all the time. He's got 7 heavy duty wreckers that are like $1 million or more that he doesn't have drivers for. People don't want to go to work. So that impacts us across the board, no matter what we try to do. The key thing with the members to remember on the policy is you have to call us first. And also, as I say in the seminars, if to you, the owner of the recreational vehicle, something you hear or see doesn't look right, sound right, taste right, feel right, or smell right, call back in and ask for a supervisor. Every one of our programs that we administer has a script that the agent sees in front of them. Unfortunately, we have to deal with people, and they don't always read the script. They think they know what they're saying. So if you get something like, oh, your FMCA program doesn't cover that, or we have to charge your credit card or hold it, that is untrue. The only time they will ever ask for a credit card from you is if we are purchasing a tire on your behalf to bring to you. Other than that, we do not ask for anything. It's important when I say that they call us first and call the call center, because we dispatch and we pay the tow provider. There's no out-of-pocket expense, and there's no limits to how far we have to get you to qualified or authorized service on the distance. So that whole bill is ours. Should you find yourself in a unique situation on a turnpike or where we simply can't find anybody in a timely manner for various reasons, as long as the agent on the phone tells you to secure service on your own, you will have to pay for it, but we will reimburse you, because every call, as I said, is digitally recorded, and we just go back and play the call, and we will reimburse you for those charges, no questions asked. So that's a key thing that members have to remember. The other thing that I just wanted to bring up, Chris, because I don't know if it's on our list of questions, but for those of the customers that have been with us for a long time, sometimes we all have to deal with things in systems that we wish weren't that way. And unfortunately, we have one of those, a glitch, if you would, in our system, and we're working to rectify it in the next version of the software. But currently, when you renew your FMCA Roadside Assistance Program, we send you a new FMCA Roadside Assistance member number. You have to use the new member number. Again, I know I'm saying member number a lot, not your FMCA membership number, but your Roadside Assistance member number. So I tell many of you in the seminars, when you get your new cards, take a picture, just put Roadside Assistance and take a picture of it with your phone and put it in your contacts. Then you've got it.
Yeah, that's definitely, I've seen a lot of them, as you have, of people that don't follow that critical first step is before you do anything, call, right? Where exactly. We've had some upset members who kind of make their own arrangements, and then, it doesn't quite work as well as they'd like it to. So I think that's a good point, is make sure they call you guys first to
and get that operator on the phone to tell you to make your own arrangements, and then we're fine with it.
Right. For members, is there a maximum length of time they can sign up for the program?
Currently, we're on 1 year. How roadside assistance works, it's called loss ratios. So we come out, which happened to us in the very beginning, we come out with the estimated price that it should be based upon the data we're giving by the customer. Once we get the data in, we plug in a bunch of figures on our side of it, and we figure out what we can supply the program for. That's what happened initially when we had the much lower price. What loss ratios are is we look at the revenues that come in from the program, the number of members that are enrolled in it, and the expense that goes out of the program, the number of charges that go out. When that happens and those expenses get higher than the memberships coming in, we have to raise the rates. So that's why the rates are higher than they are right now. FMCA's program is unique from every other program we do, which is a key thing. Back in the early days, FMCA's program, even back when CoachNet had the program, was driven on the concept that every member should be able to pay the same price, regardless of how old their rig was. Almost every other program in the industry by all the providers has a limit of 10 or 15 years. 15 years age, model year age is mostly the limit. The FMCA program has absolutely no limit. So I love our people that have the MCI converted buses and the old GMC motorhomes, especially the Elegantes. I love that one myself. But those that break down a lot raise the loss ratios. So everybody's paying for that. And we just have to bear that in mind. We're still supporting the industry. I mean, nobody out there, none of our members, all of them that I've met at the conventions every year and at the regionals, I've never found a member that bought the least expensive RV he could afford. He always went up because it had something a little better. That's kind of what you're looking at with Roadside. So the benefit of all of our members to be in one program together and have a good voice, I think is worth the few extra dollars when you spread it across the year.
That is a good point. It is unique from that perspective that you can have a converted bus from 1965 and you qualify. So,
right.
Yeah, that is great that every member can take advantage of it. You kind of touched on this briefly, but I think it's worth going back to just to talk about separate. Can you again explain? I think a lot of people misunderstand that when they buy this, they're only covering their RV. Can you kind of go over briefly again what all vehicles are actually covered under
right.
the
So, yeah, we cover the recreational vehicle, be it motorized or towable, one recreational vehicle. Some people call us and they'll go, well, I have one that I keep up at the lake and I've got another one that we travel on. We are governed by what's called motor club law in now over 30 states in the United States. And it's written in the motor club that our programs have to be for one RV. So it's one RV, and then every other vehicle those members either own, rent, or borrow is covered. There are companies out there, I won't mention names, but there are companies out there who have the small print written so hard it's difficult to understand. One company that's out there that's a very big player in it has in there that they'll cover your trailer, not RV, but they'll cover your trailer while it's used in the act of recreating. I challenge that with them because I don't like things like that. And what they mean is if you're towing your trailer behind your pickup truck, so you're not RVing, but in your utility trailer, you have a jet ski or a side-by-side and you get a flat tire or you break an axle, they'll come out and fix it. If you have that same trailer, utility trailer, and you picked up some plywood or some patio furniture at Home Depot and it breaks an axle, you're out of luck. That's splitting hairs too much. We can't get involved in that. 13 million incidents a year keeps us pretty busy, and we can't be belaboring all the call centers with things like that. So it's just easier to have a straight cut program. It does cover motorcycles, covers anything that's street licensed. When I say one RV, there's a relatively small group within the entire organization of FMCA and in the RV database totally, which has big heavy duty fifth wheels, very, very heavy in total weight fifth wheels that were built very well. Some of them were Teton motorhomes built many years ago, and they're pulled by tractors, class 6 and class 7 tractor trailers. For those of you that don't understand, by a semi truck with a sleeping area in it behind the cab. Even though they don't use it, that's considered a second RV. So they would need 2 policies to be covered under that. I think that pretty much covers all the vehicles.
Okay. Is there a limit on the number of claims a policyholder can make?
Well, forgive my smirk. No, there's not a limit per se. We don't have that anywhere in our agreement with FMCA. I don't have that actually in any agreement in writing. If you're on your, 18th call in a year, you may get a love letter signed by me that suggests you read your manual or do some proper maintenance on your vehicle, but that's the extent of it. Yeah.
Well, I just want to, there are some policies where they only allow you to have 1 incident or 2. So, I mean, if you're unfortunate to have more than 1, you're not going to be denied. It will be covered.
Right, and that's gaining ground, that type of policy throughout our industry. It's becoming more and more popular lately, obviously for the loss ratio reasons. That's why I always encourage people to read the small print. People come up to me at the shows and go, oh, we already have it with our car policy or with our motorhome policy. And I tell them, read the small print, because most companies are not in the business of providing heavy-duty towing for RVs with unlimited sign and drive capability. So most of them have to limit that exposure to use it once a year. It's a $50 benefit, which is nothing. It costs us to drive out with a big heavy duty wrecker, and for the guy to climb out of the cab and spit his chewing tobacco on the ground and go howdy, we're into that about $800 at that point. So that's why these companies limit it. The biggest elephant in the industry really is AAA. AAA is actually 7 companies that are bound together throughout the United States to do roadside assistance. Their best program right now will tow you once a year for 200 miles or twice a year for 100 miles. And their contract says they do not have to change an inside dual. I'm not saying that the provider that comes out will not do it, because they're contracted providers also, but they don't have to do it. And there are certain divisions within certain geographical areas of Auto Club that are getting out of RV totally. So you're not going to be able to add your RV to your AAA policy anymore. We have reason to believe, from what we've heard, and we've seen it in some areas, that AAA's intention is, because they don't have a medium and heavy duty network, that they're going to drop RVs. That's only hearsay on our part. We've seen some pretty heavy talk about it lately, but I just urge our members. I'm a AAA member. I use it for the other discounts, flying to your events and getting the discounts on hotels and stuff like that. But just be aware, if you've got AAA, make sure you keep that in force and watch your roadside coverage on it.
All right. So I just want to touch on this briefly, because I've seen this as a point of confusion as well. If you have something happen, you need to be towed. How is the location of tow determined by VAS? What does the language say?
We will tow you to the nearest authorized or qualified service center. Now, if you want to go someplace else within that same distance, because these trucks they charge us a hookup charge, a disconnect your drive line on all our diesel pushers, that's all included in the price. And then they charge us a per mile, and we contract. We have all that on our screen before we ever reach out to them, based upon where the member is located. So that's the price we agreed to pay. If you want to do something else within that price, you're covered. Now, every year, our most expensive tow used to be up in Alaska, until Nell at Fantasy started showing me how good all the roads are up there now, and we know that. So they're not our most expensive year anymore. Back in the CoachNet days, they were. Now it's usually right here in the United States, places like Yellowstone that a lot of RVers flood to every year now. It seems, again, for some strange reason, that our big RVs break down. They're under warranty, and they seem to break down on the west side of Yellowstone. The nearest real service facilities that can get them in a timely manner are on the east side of Yellowstone. And it's illegal to drive a heavy-duty wrecker through Yellowstone Park. So by the time we go around the park and come into West Yellowstone to get them, and then go back out through West Yellowstone to travel east, it's about a $4,800 tow bill.
Wow. So if someone does, if the nearest qualifying location is not where they want to go and they want to go further, you're willing to do that, but the member has to pay that,
The
correct?
member has to pay the additional cost.
Yeah.
That's correct. Uh-huh.
Okay. I'll put you on the spot here a little bit, Ed. As far as the program, what in your opinion, do you think are maybe the three most popular, most important benefits of the roadside policy for the member?
Well, I think the benefits are roadside is not a perfect science, unfortunately. No matter how hard I try, our ownership, every agent on the phone, no matter how hard all of us try, we can't be where you break down. But we have over 600 agents committed out of the 3,500 agents that we have to RV programs. Most of the time, that's a group of 345 people on the phones ready to help and assist our customer. That's the largest in the industry. Nobody has that many. So we've got the most bodies to help. I think that's important for FMCA. I think it's important for FMCA because of the type of a membership group we are, where we're a nonprofit membership group. I think it's important that people understand that you're supporting FMCA by being a member of it, and that all your other members, all the people we know, are not forced to go to some other program when their RV ages out of a program. We're not afraid to do that. So I think the database of information that we have on being able to service all the members so far surpasses that of anybody else in the industry. And we support FMCA as an organization tremendously. We help you guys come up with programs to do it. As you know, I personally am at every major event and take all the questions. I invite you. When we've made a mistake, we will stand behind it. If we've made the mistake, I think that's a major difference between us and the other providers we've had in the past. But it's not perfect. We can't do everything perfect. I wish it were.
Yeah, and as you stated, Ed is the person at our two international conventions that mans the booth. He's there the whole show. He has members come up and praise him. Maybe sometimes they're not so happy with something that happened. You have a couple, maybe again, 2 or 3 things that members come up to you that maybe they don't have a good understanding of. They think this is covered, or do you have maybe a couple examples of common things that maybe members think are covered that are actually not?
Yeah, let me start with the most common one. We are not FMCA Assist. If you get stranded in Budapest or you broke your leg, you can't call me. I can't come help you. FMCA Assist is the medical benefit that's included with your FMCA membership. It's not an add-on. You don't pay for it. It's probably the best benefit in all of FMCA as far as I'm concerned. In the beginning, where some of that came from is we named the program Roadside Assist. Mm-hmm. And that became confusing. As soon as we saw the monster we created with that, I think we all got together and changed it as fast as we could. But that's the most common thing. They'll stop by my booth and say, now they got to tell me a story about a medical issue they had. That notwithstanding, the most common are they got left on the side of the road. Nobody called back. It took 45 minutes to an hour. Those are the things that I tried to cover in the beginning. If something's not right to you, call back in. Again, they're humans, and I wish they would follow everything. We continually do training with them on an ongoing basis. And if it's not right, taste right, sound right, feel right, smell right to you, call back in. You can reach FMCA through all the normal channels. They forward every major incident to me that's had a problem. I will get back to you. I return every one of my emails daily. I will answer the phone when Chris calls or Rhett calls or Gary calls. They're on on top of me all the time, and I think we provide great service. So that and the tire program is a little bit, I encourage all of you to use the FMCA tire program. There's some changes, not changes with that. There's some challenges with that. And again, I'll just speak briefly about that. And forgive me for breaking it down to kindergarten level, but I've found at the international shows it makes more sense. So what every contract by every provider says is we will replace a blowout with your fully inflated spare. Now, before those of you with Class A's, right, we don't have a fully inflated spare. We know that. So we will do everything on our dime, just like you had a fully inflated spare. We will pick up a tire for you. Again, in a perfect situation, we'll give you 3 choices that we can find, but we know there's no perfect situation. So we'll pick up a tire for you. You'll pay for the tire, because almost all blowouts on Class A's are catastrophic, meaning we can't plug it or patch it. We'll dispatch a provider to bring that tire to you. Other than the tire, you have not paid a thing. We will dispatch him to come to your location to jack up your rig, to remove your wheel with the bad tire on it. You still haven't paid a thing. You will pay to have him take that casing, that's the blown tire, off of the rim, put the new tire back on it, and any type of balancing that he's going to do for you. And that's all you pay for. We then pay for his time to bolt it back down, back on your axle, lower the coach, and drive back to his shop. That's the most simple way I can explain it. Again, forgive me for going through it step by step, but it seems to make sense to people that way. Until at the end of the meetings at the international show, and then 4 people come up and go, well, what do you pay for on if we get a blowout? So, but that's how it works.
Yeah, I think one of the important things too, and I know when someone contacts VAS, it's normally an important situation, kind of emergency situation. But my advice, if you want the quickest service possible, is to listen to the prompts and make sure you choose the right one. I've seen a lot of frustration where, members call and they just want to push one right away, and it's not the right person. They're getting the runaround on, who they really need to get to in the end. So that's my recommendation.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris. I think that's important. And let me just mention that again. So with 375 agents and different programs going, they're not just taking FMCA calls, and they all have different responsibilities. And those prompts are important to get you to the right location to handle you in the most expeditious manner. If you push the wrong prompt, they can't always go back. It's not another person where there's 3 or 5 people in office where they can yell over the cubicle and say, hey, Jimmy, pick up this call on 7. It's not like that. We have different places. They could be in a different call center even, because the way our telemetrics programs work. So if you push the wrong one, sometimes you're better to get back in. That's also why we're on that. Why when you get to the next person, if they find out it's something else, it's possible that they don't have the information the first agent had. I know it's frustrating because you have to give them the information again. I apologize, but that's the way the system works, so we can handle all of your calls, again, in the best way we can. Thankfully, all the compliments I get at the shows, I don't get beat up very bad. The compliments by far outweigh the problems. And I'm sorry for the problems that are out there. Along with that, I might add that one thing, especially those of you in the Northeast where you've got turnpikes, like the New Jersey Turnpike is one. I know there's more roads also that I'm probably not as familiar with. But the Turnpike Authority controls who can tow on those turnpikes. So law enforcement sometimes will tell you, you can't wait for them, we'll dispatch somebody. When that happens to you, take their tow, ask them to tow you to the nearest off-ramp. Once they get you to the nearest off-ramp, you can be on the phone with us during the time. We will pick you up at that location and take you to service.
All right. So if a member wants to sign up, how can they do that, Ed?
Go online to FMCA.com.
And if you, they can also call if needed, right?
Yep.
The one thing I want to add too on the FMCA side is, since it is a 1-year policy, you do have to have 1 year of active membership. So
Right.
that's a little bit of a confusing point as well. Someone that may have a month left, they get a little frustrated, maybe a little annoyed, but that is the rule. You have to have 1 full year of membership to sign up for the program.
And Chris, also, I wanted to say that, that the prices are where they are. I know you and I have spoken time and time again. Those prices on loss ratios can go both ways. They don't always just keep increasing. If our loss ratios get lower, if certain RVs start aging out and people don't RV anymore, or if we get a lot of new members and we get new RVs, all these 2 million new ones that we're selling, if they come into the club and our members get other friends to come into the club, that raises the base of members. And that can affect the pricing for our members in a positive way, meaning it lowers the price also. So that's out there. It's not just one way accelerating the price all the time.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's the way programs like this work. The bigger the pool, hopefully the more spread out the risk and lower the price. Well, I think that covers everything I had, Ed. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to the discussion?
No, I appreciate the time to talk to the members. And if they've got a real problem and they think it wasn't handled properly, we keep all the digital recordings for up to 90 days. So that's something that's happened within the last 90 days, reach out to me through FMCA and we will see if we made a mistake. That's how we improve. So
I just want to look through the chat quickly, see if we had any questions. Brian Walters, I think that's how you say it. He said he just renewed and didn't receive his number yet about a week ago. Can you kind of go through the process of maybe how long it takes and again, how they get that membership number?
Yeah, once FMCA office sends us a member list every week. So once we get that list, it goes in over a weekend. So usually we'll talk real days here instead of hours. So if we get it at the beginning of the week, we have it Monday morning, it goes out, gets produced by us and goes out by the following Friday. So then whatever the local mail takes in their areas, always make sure your mailing address is right. We run into this a lot with our full-timers that are traveling that use mail services. Sometimes it's at the mail service. When they renew and they get their new number again, as I recommended earlier, just please put it in your phone so you've got it right there with you all the time.
Okay. Becky asked, what do you need a membership for a year to do? Since the Roadside Rescue policy is an FMCA member benefit, we do require that the member have a full year of FMCA membership in order to sign up for the Roadside program. So that's what we were referring to, Becky, on the membership for a year. And I don't really see any other questions, Ed.
Okay.
I think we covered it all, sir.
All right. Well, it was great to be with you. And good.
I'll be talking to you soon, Ed. Like I said, we talk all the time. So
looking forward to seeing all you guys in Nebraska. I hope all the members can make it up there. It's going to be a great show. Thank you.
All right. Thanks again, Ed. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We will do this again next month. Till then, have a good weekend.